Hello and namaste. Welcome to this special session of Expert Speak, initiated by the Asian Institute of Diplomacy and International Affairs. So, today we will be talking about the recent Gen Z movement in Nepal and explore the broader developments that had unfolded across South Asia in recent years. So, today we have with us Ms. Sulochana Ramiah, the Deputy editor of Ceylon today, a Sri Lanka-based English daily. She is an award-winning journalist and she is also a visiting fellow at AIDIA. So, Ms. Ramya, welcome to AIDIA Expert Speak. Uh, so,
Thank
oh,
you very much.
yeah, so over the past few years, South Asia has witnessed an extraordinary wave of political turbulence. So governments have faced mass uprisings, economic crisis, and public discontent, and leading to the collapse of entire administrations. So both Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have gone through comparable crises, but now Nepal is experiencing a situation that is even more severe and compelling than the previous ones. So these events have revealed deep-rooted government challenges, rising citizen expectations, and the fragility of political stability in our region. So today, Ms. Ramia, a prominent voice from Sri Lanka, will be sharing her perspectives on the background of these uprisings and the lessons learned from Sri Lanka's journey and the implications for Nepal. So my first question to you is what underlying factors, be it political, economic, or social, have been common drivers for these movements across the regions? And what similarities do you see the way governments lost their legitimacy and the eyes of their citizens? So,
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Rai. Nice to
Mhm.
connect with you again. It was a very sad moment when we saw the live coverage on what was going on in Nepal. It was more of a violent scenario compared to Sri Lanka. But let me come to the point that the South Asian region, all of us are similar. We have a similar tendency to understand, react, our moods, our political structure, our politicians are all of a same trend, you see. In that, we also tend to um, um, we tend to have a very uh, bad approach towards their citizens. This is a long learned process, but still none of us understood. From the time the country gained independence, there's nothing took us off the independent scenario that we are free country, we are engulfed in riots, ethnic tension, religious tension, worse than ever. So these are the similar patterns that we get in South Asia, especially because we are all alike. We are South Asians. That is the common scenario here. So yes, South Asia in recent years there were very clear recurring drivers behind mass uprising and sudden loss of government legitimacy. It was there, but it came to a boiling point for many countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, even Indonesia, even if you say Asia,
Mhm.
Indonesia, even
Yeah.
now in Nepal. So it has come to a boiling point. These drivers fall into four broad categories, I would say. There is one political aspect to it, economic aspect to it, social and digital communication, which is now the latest. So digital communication is what we have to think of. The world is moving forward with digital communication. Sri Lanka, people use lots of apps to connect with the world. I think surely the entire region is into digital communication. And when you try to stop that, it really can trigger because these are young people's applications that they connect with the world, want to find a school, college, for funding, for jobs, online, what do you call trading. So these are next level of economy growth you can see through the social media activities and all these things. But this is where things changed for Nepal. For us, it was a different platform, but just still a
Yeah.
predictable ways. A shock of economy, regulatory, and political exposed long-running grievances, inequality, corruption, weak services by the government. having the digital thing aside, we
Yeah, yeah.
have been not able to concentrate on economic growth, regulatory and political. There is no reforms brought in. When you talk about Sri Lanka, exposing long-running grievances that we have been tolerating. We are tolerated in our social media amplified mobilization and narratives that and a lot of information about politicians' wealth, how they travel, what they wear, their shoes, the leather. They always take this politicians' wristwatch, and then it comes on social media. So this frustrates the public. When you see this, oh my God, I can't even afford to wear a wristwatch. Here, this man is wearing a very expensive 7 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 75 lakhs wristwatches. So this exposure actually riddled the society into pieces. Heavy-handed responses of visible elite privilege accelerate legitimacy loss. Below is the summary. Basically, it's all of a thing that nobody wants to see that one faction of the society is enjoying, which
Mm-hmm.
is wrong.
Yeah.
It's obvious. So it happened in Sri Lanka, it happened in Nepal, it happened in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh also, it's about the youth. In Sri Lanka, it was not completely youth, but that range, from when my
Mm-hmm.
family, if I have a son, grown son, and I am unable to feed him, I am agitated. My son is also agitated. He is also on the road. I am also on the road. So that's what happened in Sri Lanka. The consequences was when people in cities, like in Kathmandu, it was all in Kathmandu. In Sri
Yes.
Lanka also, it was in Colombo, in Dhaka, same city life. City life is very different from the remote life because you are constrained to a certain logistic setup. You are living
Yeah.
in an apartment. You can't use kerosene. You can't use firewood. You can't buy milk take from a cow. You don't have a garden. So the economic impact is worse when you are
Mm-hmm.
constrained and into a four walls in an apartment. No gas, then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to walk, no bus, then there's no fuel. So all this has impacted that all of them came to the road, which is the
Mm-hmm.
scenario in Sri Lanka. But in
Mm-hmm.
your case, it was Gen Zs that took. They have this tendency because they saw what happened in Sri Lanka. This impacted the Nepalese, surely. They would have seen how these people did it in Sri Lanka and successfully got rid
Mm-hmm.
of the uh, president who did not know how to govern, who to
Yeah.
misled the public, who was also misled by his own people. So people
Mm-hmm.
learned, that's what I wrote a column where when I came to Nepal, people asked, how did you do this? How did you manage? How did you manage to get him out? And things like that. So they are watching. These are
Mm-hmm.
no, they are all connected, global village. So nobody is
Yeah, yeah.
isolated. Though you all are living in a mountainous area and Nepal is covered with mountains and misty and snow, you are not isolated anymore. You're not. So you're connected with the world. You can see what is happening in the neighborhood. So these are impacting people. So what is the message is that uh, your government didn't learn from its neighbors. That's what my headline was for this newspaper. They have not learned from the neighbors. What is impacting the neighbors will impact you. End of the day, if your neighbor is unhappy with you, it has an impact on your life. You can't go out, your fence broken, he will come to fight with you, similar things. So, like that, they have forgotten to care for the basic needs of the common man of your own
Mm-hmm.
country, your own people who voted for you. So things went very wrong in Nepal. It did go wrong in Sri Lanka, but the impact was worse because Gen Zs took over. I think, like I told you, unemployment may be a reason. And when you stop the digital network, social media network, it's stupid to do. You don't
Yeah.
need to. I mean, you have some way of doing something, and you put a stop to that. That's the ultimate. And you break off your boiling point, and you just come out and go to the street. Where will you go? That's what happened in Nepal. I think that's my way of thinking.
So, yeah, 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 well, you're like totally correct about that. So, do you think these uprisings are largely spontaneous, or do you think they reflect deeper long-term governance and structural issues in South Asia?
It's a structural issue in South Asia. It's very common. It's
Yeah.
the governance, the way of governing is very, very uh, similar. When you talk about Sri Lanka, let me talk about Sri Lanka. The level of governance has been so poor, not open, no inclusivity on many matters, no transparent. Minority issues are not handled well. I mean, they are also Sri Lankans. They are also contributing to the economy of this country. Their matters are not handled properly. The communication, mass corruption, lack of communication, mass corruption. This is the key thing. When you're corrupt politician, people will come to know, unlike before. You can basically monitor these things, hidden agendas of the politicians, and using unemployed youth for political agenda is a very common thing in Sri Lanka. These are very common. Threatening the media, suppressing the voiceless, manifesting absolute power, fist-tight rule to the own people. Oh, these are very common in Sri Lanka. It was happening so far. It was happening up to today, I think. But now the things are changing. And now with this new government, what we see is more things coming out where politicians have been engaging with underworld operations for drugs and weapons. It's coming out. Now we are exposed to these things where the politicians have been engaging with the underworld operators who basically ruined this country, took away the money from this country, killing people. You know, when you kill people for no reason, it has an impact on the economy. You know, when one member is in your family is killed, that family is don't have a revenue. So who has to bear the burden? The government. So things like this are all connected. So there is a sequence, there's a similar pattern, very common in Sri Lanka and in this region. Unemployment is one, and financial crisis cannot tolerate when once you see when you're everything you have and you don't have food, you forget the rest. When you have everything in your life, comforts, and you don't have 3 meals in your house, your political agenda changes, your thinking changes. So that's what I'm saying. So when you hit the stomach of people's ordinary lives, you can see the worst part of their reactions would be really bad.
Yeah. So you are talking about this uprisings in Sri Lanka like 3 years back. So could you please walk us through this sequence of events and how the situation escalated, and what were the major political and economic and also social consequences for Sri Lanka in the immediate aftermath of the movement?
You in Sri Lanka, it was a long time. Like from the
Mm.
time the Easter Sunday attacks took place in 2020, right? And then it collapsed the country like never before. Even during the war, 30 years of war, we never experienced a situation like when the Easter Sunday attacks took place. Country was in chaos. People feared to go to the road. There was curfew. There was a lot of raids. People were taken into custody. When the Easter attacks happened, the Christian world, the Western world that comes to Sri Lanka on tourism, they stopped coming completely. There was no flight. They didn't want to come. Bad negative exposure. All the hotels basically collapsed. It's one of the biggest revenue generating industry, tourism in Sri Lanka. So when that collapsed, to regain from that alone, people were struggling. Banks did not give loan because they cannot recover. Many of them struggled, job losses. Everything that one should experience in life, they experience. Then comes COVID. COVID worsened the situation further. And COVID ruined the rest. The little bit of hope we had after Easter Sunday, it completely ruined the scenario in Sri Lanka. And we are an island country, you know. We are not a landlocked country where things can transport and come and go. It's a sea. So we had to strive and struggle and recover on our own. People far and near had to help us. There was so much of what do you call already existing debt. And when COVID came, we needed more money also to buy drugs, all those COVID related apparatus and all that. It was a huge impact on people. There were families who didn't know anything. I must tell my experience. When COVID came, there was no food in my house for 3 days. When there was sudden curfew, we drank just water and we sustained 3 days. And and we never experienced this any time in my life. So that was the severity of the COVID plus the
Mhm.
Easter attacks. Then
Oh.
the new president comes, actually, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Mhm.
Well, we had a lot of hope. Many voted for him. 69 lakhs people voted for him, thinking that he will revive the country, he will take the country to next level, security will be good, people can have a better life. But again, it didn't happen because he was also misled. He took very drastic decisions about fertilizer, his connections with certain countries, trying to do things out of not the normal way. So that had the impact. And that by then, things were getting worse. So what
Mhm.
happened was the GDP was collapsing, economic contraction was huge. It went peak in 2022 when Gotabaya was in
Mhm.
power. Sri Lanka's GDP contracted sharply by around 7.3 due to the crisis by then. In 2023, contraction continued and inflation, currency depreciation, inflation surge reaching near 70% in late 2020. Sri Lankan rupee depreciated heavily against major foreign currency. Poverty, loss of income, hardship. Many people fell into deeper poverty and crisis reversed gains made it poverty reduction. So what happened? With this, trouble started coming up. Food,
Mhm.
utilities, medicines, cost of living, everything shot up. Then rural and urban poor suffered both sides. Rural in Colombo as well. Import shortage, supply chain disruption, the shortage of foreign exchange reserves meant for Sri Lanka couldn't import enough fuel, gas, medicines, food. All these are known things actually. Agriculture output also dropped. There was no tea, there was no rice due to fertilizer ban, a mistake by the president. So tourism declined further. Negative
Mhm.
perception and advisories also hurt tourists coming to Sri Lanka. All this happened, and finally, debt defaulted. We could not pay back the donor countries their interest, and this is where things became very, very uncontrollable.
Mhm.
Everybody was stressed out in the country. How do you live? Then what do you do? I have the same if I'm hungry, my child is also hungry, my husband is also hungry, neighbors are also hungry. So everyone came to it was a genuine attempt to show your protest against a system that collapsed the system and impacted people's lives. So everyone came to the road. It is obvious. It's obvious in Nepal also. There is nothing different. I see that when that's what I said. When you're hungry and you have no food, you have no alternatives. You can't rob from another person. You come to the street to show your anger. You're highly disgusted. So that's what happens. So this sequence all happened, and then we all came to the road. People came to the road, young and old. There were farmers from remote areas came in the bus to Colombo to protest against fertilizer ban.
Mhm.
So that was the scenario, and it accelerated. But then it was a genuine protest. But at some point, you get these kind of characters like who have
Yeah.
their ulterior motives joining the bandwagon. You want to have a political mileage out of this protest. We call it Aragalaya. So they walked in and they disrupt the political, took it to a political, turned it to political angle, basically, and wanted everything the way they wanted to. They tried to sharpen it. They wanted to speak on behalf of the people, which people got scared. I mean, because they were more arrogant, more aggressive, and that is where things change. Then after a while, last lap of the protest, it went beyond a genuine protest. Of course, that you can expect. You may have your rivalry, you may have your rival party members doing a protest with a group, then you don't like them, so you take it on the next level. So they are burning of buses, burning of political members' homes. All that happened. I don't think the ordinary people did that. that was clearly stated. No ordinary person like me or a neighbor would go and set fire to another house. But that was a political uh, struggle that came into it. And then it went on. They also tried to set fire to the parliament, which was started, but the prime minister's house was burnt. Many of the VIPs' homes were burnt down. Vehicles were set on fire. I think that wouldn't have been an ordinary mass that were protesting on the street could have done that. So you get this vibrant political parties that have their own identities and own ideas. They crept in and hijacked the protest at the last minute, but then
Mhm.
it turned to be violent. Of course, you must understand when people marched into the president's house in Colombo, they didn't destroy anything. There were people, families, children, mothers, opened the cupboard closet and took the clothes and laughed and saw about their gym machines, how they used, this politician used, and they were laughing. And where do we get these things? Do we have this kind of facilities? And they made a lot of showcase, a lot of this. But that's it. None of them tried to be too aggressive, but somebody
Okay.
else did that part of it. So that's what happened in Nepal, I would say, when you want to compare it. Yes.
Yeah. So, talking about this economic impact of these protests, so Nepal has lost a huge because it is estimated that right now, like it is around 240 billion rupees have been like impacted,
Lost.
and that is like the 4% of the total GDP. So,
Oh.
so how was like Sri Lanka and if you could tell in the numbers about the economic
Mhm.
impact, and also
Actually,
how did
oh
Sri
yeah.
Lanka like stabilize itself afterwards, both like economically and like politically?
It Our protest was not as severe as Nepal. I would like to tell you
Mhm.
that. Mainly, the government, of course, the president and the prime minister at that time, and the senior politician made statement that ongoing protest at that time has had heard the efforts to rebuild the country from COVID and Easter Sunday, get foreign investment or aid, stabilize things. For example, the recovery, every second spent protesting is lost opportunity for generating foreign currency. They said officials have admitted economy was already severely damaged due to mismanagement, debt, loss of tourism, import restrictions, inflation, COVID-19 impacts. They have described this economic situation as completely collapsed or very close to collapse. Major business chamber group jointly issued statement that the protest destabilization, negative publicity could derail efforts and stabilize the economy, especially important sectors like tourism and all that. Politicians also wanted to claim their compensation for loss of property and damage to their properties. But the impact isn't a great one. I don't think we had a huge loss-making protest we had. It was just disturbance, unrest associated with
Mhm.
protests contribute negatively. For some people try to make a lot of it, like the politician who lost their homes wanted big apartments in Colombo, which was given to them for a very poor rate, very low rate. It
Mhm.
doesn't happen to an ordinary citizen. There was again that was corruption. So like in Nepal, we didn't have any major state entities hotels set fire to.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very sad. It took a severe stage
yeah.
of event in Nepal, unlike Sri Lanka. We managed to. People were not very aggressive. Again, I told you these are not Gen Zs. Gen Z's outlook are quite very rigorous, and they are maybe I think the children or the young generation in they were very angry over the digitization, social media activities being banned. That must have triggered a lot of anger in them.
Yes,
That
yes. That
why
was
should you
like
do?
boiling point for us.
That was the boiling point. Here, none of that
Mm.
could take place. That would have at least had a lot of impact too. nothing like that was taught. Even when I asked a VIP from the Nepal community, they said without social media, we still can run the country. But that is before the riot started. But then I was surprised. Even that little understanding some people didn't have. Why are you making the public so angry? Already you are not given anything. You are all having a very good life. You have all the money under the sun. And this small man's little interest of social media, what is the big deal in banning that? So
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
don't know the impact of this, and you may have to face it. I just said it for some reason. Within 24 hours, Nepal was on fire. I was so surprised because that can really, if your WhatsApp doesn't work, you are in trouble. You're
Yes.
connected with the people. You may be doing small business and your WhatsApp doesn't work. You can't make landline calls. That's the benefit of social media, right? So
Yeah.
this is simple thing that they could not understand is a very fact that I feel very sorry that the politicians in country like Nepal and other countries who are thinking of doing such unreasonable activities have to think twice, be mindful about not doing thinking that angle. There are a lot of ways to think how to curtail a lot of your issues, not attacking the public in a very what do you call demeaning way. You
Mhm.
are
Yeah.
testing their pulse of being so unnecessarily taking control of their life in this manner. So then the president, then all that was, there was a short term, some severe contraction, I'm sure. There was little high inflation, there was shortage, and things gained very fast. We regained. There was a lot, IMF came in, India supported us, many countries supported us. We got a lot of COVID apparatus free, and a lot of things happened within a period of, say, 3 years, because the
Mm.
impact was not very big. But then we managed to recover, and this new government has come in. It has curtailed a lot of its expenditure. That's a very good sign. A country, when politicians set an example, you don't spend much on public money or tax money, is the very good sign. So
Yeah.
that we have seen so far. And this government has taken into task senior leadership of the past government to answer the people for expenditures they incurred unnecessarily using taxpayers' money. They have been questioned, they were taken to the courts. So this is what people like to see. First, you correct yourself before
Mhm.
correcting me, right? I am under you. I am powerless. You are powerful. When the powerful does not know how to deal with the powerless people, then there is an issue. So this government is on the right track. The JVP government, led by Mr. President Anurukumara Dissanayake, what good sign is that they have controlled the expenditure, unnecessary traveling, taking huge contingent of politician overseas. Uh, that I'm not saying that everything is hunky dory now, but the little things that matters, So we are watching closely, monitoring closely, and we can forecast that the economy recovery is somewhat better. Long way to go, but many problems are there still. Foreign debt is still at large. Public finance is still fragile. Cost of living remains high for many people, and also we are not come out of it completely, but at least we have a space to breathe. That is
Mm.
the scenario in Sri Lanka as of now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That is the key lesson that Nepal can learn from Sri Lanka. So, can you share more like that Nepal can learn from Sri Lanka? And in your view, right now, what should Nepal focus on doing to like avoid falling into prolonged crisis?
See, Sri Lanka as an island country has a very good image world over, because an island country like Hawaii Islands and
Mhm.
island countries have a very distinct tourism attraction. We have that, right? It is very natural that people would like to go to an island getaway country like in Maldives, Sri Lanka. So you don't have to work hard to bring people here. Likewise, in Nepal, you have this Everest. I wrote about it. Everest is your identity.
Yes.
Cakewalk, you have your tourism already set up by nature, not by Nepalis, right? So there is an attraction, huge attraction. Come to Nepal to see the mountains, ski, to see the Everest, to see the sunset and sun. All that is a huge impact. Even my longing was to be in Nepal to see the Everest, and I did see it from Kathmandu itself in a clear day. So that really enlightened me. Like I wanted to see it, and I saw it. That's the most beautiful thing happened in my life. So imagine people coming all the way to see this. It's naturally you will come out of it. To do that, the landscape also, the infrastructure should be there. The recovering is easy. Actually, Nepal is not a very difficult thing to do, because I know as a country you can't have big structures. Like you don't have to invest on big hotels with 36 stories, because you cannot do it in a mountainous region. So the original landscape itself is a beautiful thing in Nepal. People don't want to see big buildings like in Dubai, and because they
Mhm.
live in a country like that in the Western world. So they want to see the natural beauty, the settings, how the Nepalis live, how their houses are, how the whole scenario is simply very attractive country. So with Everest and the lovely life of your people, added the advantage, and it can really recover. But for that, you also must stabilize your people's country people's ordinary life. Unemployment rate, I think, is high. Youth empowerment is not there. I think it's not really concentrated on settled on youth, because they are the next generation. Now you can see the things that is happening around the world. The youth are taking the leadership, so we have to prepare now. These old politicians, they groom their children. That is not the way it is. This that's what you all have, this nepotism banner everywhere. They groom their children to take over. There isn't a law like that in any country. But that is how it is operating. In Sri Lanka too is the same. The politician's son becomes a politician, his son becomes a politician. That entire line lineage is like that. That is not the way. They don't have to incorporate inclusivity of young people to all trade and business. Politics has to be the ground set up by the current politicians, which I think they have not done. So there is a lot to learn. So from Sri Lanka, I think we are better off now. People do take matters into their hand. Now you have the social media. There were so many accidents taking place, bus accidents. People started to record video, the driver, the way he's driving the vehicle. They immediately put on social media. Police is seeing that, arresting them. So things are happening. So these are the things that the leadership qualities you get in young people. They are the ones who can do it. And encouraging the younger generation is the only way out, because the economy is about young people now, young blood. They have to take forward the country. So when you disrupt their progress, then you will see more calamity like what happened in the last few days in Nepal. So the whole idea of a country growth, it depends on younger generation. Empowering them, giving them jobs, sending them for overseas for learning skills is a part and parcel of a political agenda a government should have. Not wasting money on their own property, on their own welfare, educating the public. Um, uh, what should not be the scenario when it comes to a political, when the politicians should do. The politicians have fed all wrong information about them to the public. As soon as we say a politician's name, we say, he is the one
Mhm.
who did this. So this is how they have been uh, projecting themselves to the public. So that culture has to end. Politicians must serve the people. That's what we vote. We vote thinking that you will do for me some good. You take the vote and you do something good for your own welfare. It's a lost game. So lot of disturbing news that came from Nepal was that the corrupt political setup. And it's very sad that the parliament was burnt. That I, of course, don't agree. Parliament is a wealth of a country. To rebuild the parliament, I don't know how the structure is, but that was a very sad occasion. I don't condone burning of a parliament, burning of a hotel. I mean, to recover these things, it takes a long time. But I don't know. Somebody, I saw a video that a youth was saying, "We didn't set fire to the parliament." Somebody said, "We didn't set fire to the hotel." So maybe somebody hijacked the protest. Uh, I'm obvious. That's an obvious scenario because that's what happened in Sri Lanka. I cannot finger point and say this is what happened. So all in all, recovery is easy for Nepal. Only thing now, at least you have to be awakened by the crisis that you went through. It's not a political agenda. It's an agenda, a social agenda. Now you have everybody should think alike, including the politicians, including the new elected mayors and all that who will come into power in coming years and months. Need to focus on a very stabilized, what do you call, stabilized vision for Nepal. Then I think it's a road to recovery and a quicker recovery. Otherwise, this scenario will continue. And I think they miss to learn from us. They miss to learn from Bangladesh. So there should not be a repetition. There will not be a repetition in Sri Lanka, I don't think. Likewise, I don't think there will be a repetition in Nepal or in Bangladesh because that impact was severe. It's a mental trauma, right? It's a mental trauma. The 19 student youth who were killed, that whole family is still in anger. I mean, they are not going to.
Yeah,
So
but
these are
tell,
not easy
yeah,
things to overcome fast. You can't recover fast.
to
But
tell you that the death toll has rise, like official number is 72 right now.
oh,
That is
so
like devastating.
that's those are not a thing to anticipate.
Yeah.
But Nepal went through it unnecessarily. It was a unwarranted handling of the public. I would say you don't kill people for protesting. You could have used tear gas, you use water cannons, but using a bullet to shut down a person's disgust or the problem is a wrong way of handling it, and Nepal did it ultimately.
Yeah, so you were talking about this like movement trends, so we can see around in Europe itself, right? Like we have seen like some movements in London anti-immigration. Well, I mean like agenda is different, and we have seen like the fall down of governments in France and in Japan and in Nepal in like in 2 days. So, do you think these uprisings indicate a larger global trend where citizens are no longer willing to tolerate poor governance? And if so, how do these governments respond? So, this is my
No,
final
no,
question to you.
yeah, it's simple. No, it's very obvious. If you don't know to rule, you have to step down. You
Mhm.
cannot mislead the public anymore. I told you it's a global village. People come to know. You can't even find out who is who, what is what are they doing. You can know if a politician has his own business, how much of money, whether he's having money banked overseas. All this is coming out. So now in Sri Lanka, I think the politicians are very cautious. You don't take the public for a ride. It's happening all over the world. I mean, you see about what is happening in the US. You see what is happening in lots of movements are there against each other, against different agendas. But ultimately, people in power are put to task now. You do your job or get out. There's no
Mhm.
alternatives.
Yeah.
You cannot rob the people and be in power. We have, we have. If you take about Sri Lanka, the Mahinda Rajapaksas are a prominent figure of this country. Today, where are they? They were so powerful. Everybody worshipped them, revered them,
Mhm.
idealized them. But today, they were sent home. You know, unbelievable. None of us thought. I never thought that they will be put into such a situation where the country is hooting at them when they are asking them to leave the city, go back to your village. This government did it, of course, but the people are not, some faction don't like it or maybe upset. But overall, there is no agitation about it. So people's minds are not all the time the same. They work according to the situation. Today, I may take a decision. Tomorrow, I may change the decision. So don't let me change that decision over your political agenda. If your political agenda is good today and tomorrow you try to change, I will also change. I mean, you will not have a permanent friend or a permanent enemy. You can keep changing like that. So hence, what I wanted to tell you was that the trend is going on. The social media connectivity is there. You cannot fool the people all the time. And like now people know, if I do this, we can change the government. If I come to the street, I can change the politician. We know that, and we have succeeded. So the politicians have to be wary about these things. They have to do a genuine job. It's a service to the humans. It's not. It is not a money making avenue. It's not a private business. It's a service. If you don't know the public, please make sure you quit. That is a very nice decision. I don't know how to do it. I go home. Nobody stepped down like that. We never heard a politician who said he cannot handle the problem and he stepped down. Until he's chased out or his house is set on fire or see assaulted, then they take decisions. So now it's all clear that people will not tolerate, and then the people will change everything. People have the power. Ultimately, the mandate is with the people, not with the vote that was given to you. Even if it's given to you, you can change your policies, you can change your thinking, you can become very, very angry, and you can change your whole thinking about the politics of that country and take a different turn and go against your power. So that's the scenario.
Yeah, and thank you very much for it is always pleasure to hear you, and thank you very much for your time and insights. So I think we end here. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And nice talking to you, Miss Right. Take care. All the very best. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.